Welcome YouTubers to another subcooled air conditioning informative video. Our subject today is the mini lime condensate pump, which is fitted to a Daikin wall mount air conditioning unit, which is completely irrelevant, but at least you know. The issue we've got here is the pump is not activating, which is then causing the water to leak out of the pump and leak down the wall. I don't know if you can see that on your screen. It's a brand new pump on a brand new installation, and I spoke to Aspen on their technical side to see if there's anything that could be done to reset it. They gave me a few hints that possibly there was a blockage, so I've disconnected the discharge pipe and flooded the air conditioning unit with water to get it down into the sump. I don't know if you can see, but the sump is full of water and the little red LED there is flashing, which tells me we've got power to the pump. I've also tested power to the pump, which is correct, and still it's not pumping. So all I did was I emptied the reservoir, filled it back up again, played around with the buttons which are on the front of the pump there, which I think allows it to be open or closed circuit activation, neither of which did anything. But once the pump was emptied out, the pump did kind of start, or you could hear like a ticking noise coming from the pump, which has since stopped. However, the pump itself is very warm, which I'm used to seeing on burnt out mini line pumps, not the new one. That was on the old float switch type, which is practically the same but uses the float switch to activate the pump. So because the pump is getting so warm, I believe something inside of the pump has failed. It's a hermetic pump, so there's not much you can do to open it up and see, but for the sake of it, we're just going to change the pump out entirely for the old style Aspen blue pump, which does have the old style float switch in it, and we'll see how it gets on with that. We've also tested the discharge pipe by blowing down it to ensure there's no blockage in the pipe, and it blows through freely, so I'm not concerned about the pipe coming off the pump. And we've also flooded the water from the fan coil to the pump to ensure there's not a blockage there to stop the pump. But we know the pump is filling up, we know the pump is trying to activate, we know there's power. So the issue with this is the pump itself, and when you do put your finger on there, you can feel it's quite warm. Normally on the old Aspen pumps, the mini limes, you would get like a bubbling or a discoloration around the pump somewhere, which would also indicate a burnout. I've not got that far with it, but that's where we are now. So we've installed now, or replaced, the mini lime with a Aspen blue pump, which is exactly the same principle. Water comes in from the drip tray into the reservoir, the float switch goes up, activates the pump, and the water is sucked and pushed out through the discharge hose. So all the wiring is the same, and the capacity of the pump is the same as well. This type of pump isn't how they're normally installed, but it fits quite nicely in the mini lime trunking. You get a little velcro pad to seat the float switch down so it stays flat. It was a second-hand one which I had in my van, and it had been taken from another job, which for whatever reason it was taken out, but it seems to work fine. That'll give me a chance to take the mini line back and replace it at a later date with the correct one. This will get me out of trouble for now, and it works fine. I've flooded the drip tray again just by pouring water down into the drip tray. The reservoir fills up nicely and the pump activates and pumps away, no leaks. So for future reference, for testing a pump, the simplest way to do that is to fill the drip tray if your reservoir is empty. The reservoir will then fill up. That will test that you've got no blockage between the reservoir and the drip tray. once the pump activates, that should initiate the pump, which will then suck or push the water away. That will then prove that the switch is working and the pump is working. If you do this with the pump discharge disconnected, you'll see water come out. That will prove that your pump is correct and everything's working, and that will leave you down to the discharge hose which goes off to the drain, and you can simply blow down that with your mouth to prove that that's also clear. In this case it was a mechanical fault with the mini line pump, which is down there. Again, this is a hermetic pump. You can remove the drip tray or the reservoir from the pump, but there's not a lot to see. It's cooled down now because the pump's not being called for, but I'll take it back, get a replacement, and then fit it correctly as it should be fitted at a later date. So thanks for watching. If it's been informative, leave a comment below, click on the link, or subscribe, or press the thumbs up button, which I believe is still down there somewhere, and look forward to the next informative video. Thanks a lot.